So now we'll move on to the position of co-culture chair. So this is a two-person position. And first we'll have Stephanie come up. Okay. We'll have both of the candidates, Steph and Julianne.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie. And I'm Julianne. As active members with Much Love for VSA, we are excited to be running for co-culture chairs in hopes of carrying on the fun and sexy vibes of Culture Show, as well as the community it brings for our choreographers and dancers. I don't know about you guys, but we thoroughly enjoyed Culture Show this year and thank those who performed and attended it. We decided to run as co-culture chairs as we both are organized, great at planning events, and are passionate about how culture shows highlight the colorful and dynamic aspects of what Vietnamese culture has to offer.
Next year, we hope to continue on the beautiful decorations, variety of acts, and collaboration with other Asian associations. We love collaborating with CISA as it brought a lot more people together and definitely provided an opportunity to celebrate both our cultures. No matter which group we collaborate with in the future, our goal is to maintain the liveliness and sense of community this year's group had.
While we love this year's culture show, we hope to build on its successes. As participants of this year's show, we understand the work and effort that goes into planning such a large-scale show. Our goal is to start planning earlier so that there is more than enough time for participants to learn their performances without stress due to schedule conflicts. It is important for everyone who wants to be involved to participate. To help with this, we also want to increase publicity to reach a wider audience that will get everyone hyped. Our vision is to work with the media chair in order to curate content that offers sneak peeks into the performances and the planning process, whether it be quick highlights of the dances or interviews with the choreographers on their creation process.
On the day of the show, we would also like to create more audience engagement. This can include a photo booth or a banner for attendees to sign their name and feel more involved in the show itself, creating more fun and special memories for the community. Finally, while the Rat was a great space, our larger goal is to bring the show to Rotterdam and give VSA the platform it deserves. We recognize these are ambitious goals, but we are even more ambitious. Thank you for listening, and we hope you consider Jules and Stephanie for co-culture chairs.
Brian,
Okay, so my first question is, this is something I was guilty of this year. How will you keep yourself accountable when you're unable to complete your part of the workload when putting the culture show together?
For me, I'll be really honest. Stephanie is one of my best friends, and I don't mind being brutally honest with her. I think open communication is the #1 priority, and we both understand that we both have like really difficult schedules, and honestly, it'll probably get harder next year. But I think as long as we work together, talk it out, I have no worries that we'll be able to figure anything out.
So for my next question, so we collaborated with CISA for the first time this year. Is this something you guys would continue to like keep on doing? If so, why or why not? You guys can also make the argument of going solo again, like we did last year, or have like a completely new club.
Yeah, we actually talked about this and that we think that collaborating with CISA was a great way to draw a larger audience, but also kind of feature the similarities and maybe small differences between the different cultures. And then we also thought about maybe even doing small little features of other clubs that don't get culture shows like JCBC, even if it's just like a small tidbit and just to give some representation.
And this question's pointed to Julianne. You're entering your sophomore year of nursing, and this is when the learning content becomes a lot more intense. And you also start clinical spring semester, which is when culture show is usually held. Mm-hmm. How do you plan on balancing nursing along with being co-culture chair to avoid burnout?
Honestly, right now, I'm really excited for clinicals. I think it's like the heart of what nursing is, being able to speak to patients and like have hands-on experience. But I understand that it's gonna be a lot of work and probably a lot more than I anticipate, but throughout this year, I have formed a lot of connections with sophomore nurses, junior nurses, and senior nurses. And honestly, I feel as though that I am super comfortable reaching out to them for help. And I honestly think that they wouldn't mind helping me either. So again, with like the whole communication thing, I know that I have them to lean on if I ever experience burnout and how I can combat that. And also I know that I have Stephanie to lean on as well. We have each other and it's just like, you know, like a push and pull thing. We're always here for each other. So
You mentioned that you both are friends. How are you gonna keep your personal life, like your friendship, out of this?
Yeah, I definitely think that being friends plays to some strengths, but also I think that we both, in our personality wise, we have a time when work is work and things need to be done versus outside. I guess things that are contributing to our relationship. At the same time, I think that I know that we're both very organized and that we have our own schedules, so meshing those on top of each other, maybe even sharing a common calendar just to keep both of ourselves organized and that we can see who's doing what. And yeah.
Then my last question, do you guys have any possible themes for next year? So like this year was Crazy Rich Asians. Like, do you have any other like themes you would?
I'm not gonna lie, at this moment, no. But I feel as though themes are curated based on the group that we have and the people that are participating, and honestly, what is on trend and what's like relatable in the moment. Like, obviously, we want to do something that's like so far back. But given the amazing group that we had this year, I'm really excited to see what next year brings and all the ideas that other people bring as well. So I think that's something that we'll be able to figure out.
Okay, and we'll open the questions to everyone else.
That's it.
I have a question for Stephanie. So, you think that you are equally qualified to run for co-culture chair as Julian and Jules involved before this year?
Not to be bold, but I think I would be just because I know I've been close to Jules all semester and obviously having her to kind of give me some feedback on some things that maybe I didn't experience in a board meeting is definitely going to be different. But I think personally that I have a lot of experience leadership wise in the past that I could implement into the current position.
Sabrina.
You guys mentioned that you guys wanted to start, planning earlier, the culture show. How early will you start planning and what are some actionable steps? For example, like if you were to start planning like fall semester.
Well, I was looking at the VSA Constitution and it did mention summer planning, which I honestly don't mind. I think it's a great way to get a head start on things. And honestly, the e-board is such like a family environment that like I would love to like keep up to date with all the other members on the board. So I think honestly, summer is like a great time to start planning and start thinking about budgeting and like communication, because obviously Boston College is generally like really busy. So it's a great way to get a head start on things, make sure that we're communicating to Rob Sham and the student program office to ensure that we are heard and that we are able to get our goals done. Isaac?
For Julianne, since you're on board, you know that we have a part-time getting photographers or next. How do you plan to get that earlier? Or like get people who can keep photographs earlier?
I think helping earlier in general will help with that. Just getting the idea out there, being able to get dates out there as well will also help people plan earlier and see if that's something that they're able to get in their schedule. And also another great way that we thought about was reaching out to like the dance groups that are on the campus and seeing early on if that's something that they're interested on. So then we are able to like directly contact them when the time comes. But in general, I think starting early will just be what help them.
At the same time, I know that Hell Week for the dance groups was definitely a big problem this year with participation in choreographers. So possibly considering dates outside of that timeframe to make it easier for more participation.
Catherine?
How well versed would you guys consider yourself in Vietnamese culture? And how can you ensure the Vietnamese culture show is as authentic as possible at the same time?
Coming from a predominantly white town, here, I was honestly really intimidated to join VSA. So I didn't really feel as though that I was really like, celebrating the Vietnamese culture as much as I could be. But I think as long as like there is a love and passion for the culture, there's always going to be people that know more than you. And given how like VSA is, I have no doubt that there are people that are like willing to extend an open arm and share their love for the culture. So as long as like we're all willing to celebrate, share the love, I feel like that's how we can maintain the culture.
I also think that there's a lot of peers here that can give into their input if they have more experience in, they're more well versed in the Vietnamese culture. I personally have family as well that is Vietnamese, so they teach me a lot outside of, just VSA.
Hey guys, so my question for you guys is, so in addition to like the dances that we like, already have for Theater Show, would you guys like consider either like improving your acting dance to the roster?
Honestly, I really love this year's lineup. I'm not gonna lie. For me personally, I love the duets, and I wouldn't mind adding more singing features or other acts that showcase people's individual talents. I think that would be a great opportunity to bring in the community and also celebrate each other's strengths.
We had also thought about maybe more audience engagement. So similar to Dia Party, when we all kind of did the TikTok dance, it'd be cool to just bring up a couple of people, have them quickly learn it, and just have audience engagement to make them feel more involved in the culture show.
For Stephanie, since you haven't been on board, what is something you feel like you were good before?
I think that for me personally, I think that I have a level of organization and I tend to, it's not overthink, but I think a lot about the repercussions of actions and things that we do and the words I say and things that are put out. So I definitely think that coming into eBoard, I just add another layer of considerations and thinking about backups and plan Bs and all the things that might happen as a result of.
What's your opinion on the relatively sexual nature of some acts at culture shows? Do you think that it's appropriate for a collegiate and academic environment and just represent the audience via and
There's always a balance. We would never want that to take over the culture show in which we are celebrating our individual clubs' cultures.
I know you guys are kind of late, but you might not get to talk about the show that this one was before our show this year, and then going on like a week after. How do you guys go about like reaching your goal and go? That's what we like planning choreography.
I think that just ties into our goal with helping earlier as well. It would be a great opportunity to bring back highlights of this year's culture show to highlight like what we're all about early on to ensure that everyone knows about who we are and what our culture show is about.
As culture chairs, what would you guys say? What after the culture show, what would make the show a good culture show? That makes sense.
So what should people take from it?
No. So as culture chair, after the fact of the culture show happening, you look back and you say, "Oh, that was a good culture show."
I guess for me, I thought this culture show was pretty good personally. I think that mainly it was about getting together a community, and I think through the practices and rehearsals, I found like made new friends, talked to new people I never engaged with. I think that a successful culture show comes when you can bring people together, and people are mutually just comfortable and they are also rewarded from it. And also just taking away some Vietnamese culture. Some of the like fashion show, like I had never seen in some of those pieces, and I think it was just rewarding to, kind of have fun, but also be able to learn in a way that leaves a lasting impression in your mind.
And also, I really loved the retreat video that our friends was able to put together for retreat. I think the time from when retreat happened and the time that it was pubbed was like a little time to like deep breathe, but also like the video brought together like so many amazing memories and highlighted moments for people to like gather and look at the video together. And I know for a fact that it brought a lot of smiles and laughs. So hopefully we can work with the media chair to curate something similar to that again. Sabrina.
So as the culture chairs, like obviously you guys will be planning everything for culture show, but also it's also like a board, kind of like collective thing as well. What are your expectations for your board next year for helping out with culture show, and like how will you brainstorm and execute that when you're next year?
I think step by step wise, coming in with an idea briefly to the e-board first and gaining input, and then going back to the drawing board and then coming back with another full-fledged plan and then receiving input is great, and just talking it out that way. That way there's something materialized to work with, and then gaining people's input that way versus starting from scratch. But we also already have like culture shows in the past that we can implement from and with them.
So it's been talked about a lot in all the speeches that one of the key values of VSA is being welcoming. And for example, last night I came back to the culture show and I was really excited. I brought a lot of my friends. None of them were in all of the show and would love to be a part of it next year. With the VSA value of being welcoming and culture show being what is supposed to be a display of Vietnamese, or in this case Vietnamese and Southeast Asian culture, how would the acceptance and welcoming aspect of the VSA affect the display of authenticity in culture?
I don't think it would really affect it at all, because given the group that we have and the amazing people that know so much about the Vietnamese culture, like for example, coming in, like I didn't really know much, but having mentors such as Qua who do know a lot. And I'm more than happy to share that with other people. I think that's the aspect that we are like drawing from, and I have no doubt that we'll be able to have that next year, given the community and the group that we have in this club. And honestly, I have full faith in our board to reach out to other people and not make them feel like stupid or not welcome for not knowing anything about it. It's more of like, hey, I'm glad you're here. Now let's celebrate together.
I have a question. Well, I have two questions, and I hope both of you can answer them. My first question is, as co-culture chairs, your primary responsibility on board is the culture show, right? It's like pretty much our biggest event, super important, and that's what people always focus on. But outside of culture show, is there anything that you guys would like to like produce or like create that's like that way your sole responsibility isn't just or just like culture show, right?
I think touching upon this idea again, creating more media content and working with our future media chair is going to be really exciting. I think bringing to life and highlighting what happened during culture show or what happens in our community is something that's really important for next year. And we are also discussing possibly like monthly highlights of things that our board does that relates to our culture. For example, like going to Vietnam or like the food that we eat and stuff like that. I think that's really important for next year to maintain the authenticity of the club.
My answer too. I think probably getting more exposure to Vietnamese music. I think music is a big way that communities come together. And so if we have little musical events or even have like a shared playlist for all of VSA to just see VSA music, would be a great way to just bring people together. You saw it from like the TikTok Dance Get party. People can just come together when music is around, so.
For my second question, it's really good. So for PSPC Culture Show, a lot of the other PSPC clubs in the Greater Boston area like attended. How would you, because we pub our culture show for those, but how would you increase attendance like other culture shows?
Going back to the idea of starting early, making a schedule, and also communicating with other board members such as our external rep. I think that's really crucial in order to outreach to other clubs. I think most of the time, for example, this year, a lot of people were not able to fully commit to dances, and unfortunately had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. And I think that ties into the idea of being able to help early, schedule early, and hopefully that will help people plan around their culture show and be able to attend, because I do really think that there is a love for our culture and a love for our culture show as shown by the attendance this year, and I'm really excited about it.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up with the questions for now.